2 heads, 1 tail, Young Yin. 2 tails, 1 head, Young Yang. 1 tail, 2 heads, Young Yin. 1 tail, 2 heads, Young Yin. 2 tails, 1 head, Young Yang. 1 I'm going to read out of Vitality, Energy, Spirit, a Taoist source book. It's a comprehensive anthology that traces the teaching on the three treasures, vitality, energy, and spirit, through the long history of Taoism. Along with brief selections from the classic texts of Lao Tzu and Chuang Tzu, the book presents a rich selection of tales and sayings from Taoist literature, as well as a broad range of writings from the Complete Reality School. Wang Che, 15 Statements on the Establishment of a Teaching. 1. Living in a hermitage. When people leave home, first they should live in a hermitage. A hermitage is a house for one person. When the body has a place to live, the mind gradually attains peace. When energy and spirit are harmonious and light, one enters the real Tao. Whatever you do, do not work too hard. If you work too hard, it will reduce energy. But do not be inactive either. If you are inactive, energy and blood will stagnate. When activity and stillness are balanced, then you can maintain constancy and rest secure in your lot. This is the way to live in a hermitage. 2. Traveling. There are two ways of traveling around. One is that of the tourist, the vacationer, the opportunist. People like this may travel 10,000 miles, but it will only serve to wear them out. Seeing all the sights in the world, their minds are in confusion and their energy is sapped. These are people who travel in vain. The second way is that of seeking essence in life and questioning their unknown mysteries. Climbing high, precipitous mountains, undaunted to call on enlightened teachers. Crossing roaring cataracts, unfazed to ask about the Tao. If there is mutual understanding at a single statement, a globe of light radiates from within, and you understand the great matter of life and death and become completely realized human. People like this are true travelers. 3. Study from books. The way to study from books requires that you avoid confusing your perceptions by literalism. You should pick out the ideas to accord with the heart. Then set the book aside to search through the ideas to cull the principles. Then set aside the principles to get the effect. When you can get the effect, you can absorb it into the mind. After a long time, if you are completely sincere, the light of mind will naturally overflow. The spirit of knowledge will leap, all will be penetrated, all will be understood. When you get to this point, you should keep it in and nurture it. Just do not let it gallop off, lest you lose in terms of essence and life. If you do not find out the fundamental meaning of books and merely want to have a large repertoire of information you can show off in front of people, your talents will not help you cultivate yourself. Instead, they will injure your spirit and energy. Then, even if you read a lot of books, it will not help you on the way. Once you have gotten the meaning of a book, you should store it away securely. 4. Compounding herbal medicine. Medicinal herbs are the most excellent energies of the mountains and rivers, the pure essence of plants and trees. Some are warm, some are cold, some are restorative, some are purgative, some are thick, some are thin, some are to be applied as a dressing, some as a compress. Those who would study medicine thoroughly vivify people's natural lives. Blind physicians harm people's physical bodies. People who study the Tao should be experts. Without expertise, there is no way to assist the way. It will not do to be attached, for that would reduce hidden merit. To covet goods outwardly and money inwardly wastes cultivation of reality. If you do not bring on malignant disease on this life, watch out for retribution in the coming life. Let the advanced disciples in my school reflect on this thoroughly. 5. Building. A simple house needs to protect the body from exposure. Things like carved beams and high ceilings are not made by the best people. Big buildings with huge halls are not the livelihood of people of the way. When you cut down trees, you interrupt the liquid of the veins of the earth. When you solicit alms, you take people's blood pulse. If you only cultivate outward achievement and do not cultivate inward practice, that is like drawing cakes to satisfy hunger, or piling up snow for feed. It only wastes everyone's effort and ultimately turns out empty. People with will should lose no time in seeking out the jeweled palace within the body. Not knowing how to repair crimson towers outside the body, watch as they fall down. Let intelligent people look into this carefully. 6. Joining companions on the way. When people on the way associate, the basic purpose is for the ailing to help one another. If you die, I will bury you. If I die, you will bury me. But it is necessary to choose people before forming associations. Do not form associations first and then choose people afterwards. Do not be attached to each other, for attachment binds the mind. But do not be aloof either, for then there is estrangement. Take a middle course between attachment and aloofness. There are 3 things that make for harmony, and 3 things that do not. Understanding mind, having wisdom, and having will are 3 things that make for harmony. Without understanding, you cling to external objects. Without wisdom, you are foolish and muddled. Without will, you struggle in vain. These are 3 things that do not make for harmony. The basis of individual life is in the community. It all depends on mind and will. Do not follow people's feelings. Do not grasp appearances. Just choose high illuminates. This is the superior method. 7. Sitting. Sitting does not mean physically sitting still with the eyes closed. This is artificial sitting. This latter is artificial sitting. True sitting requires that the mind be unstirring as a mountain all the time, whatever you are doing, in all action and repose. Shut off the 4 gates, eyes, ears, mouth, and nose, and do not let external scenery get inside. As long as there is this slightest thought of motion or stillness, this is not what I call quiet sitting. Those who can sit quietly in the real sense may be physically present in the material world, but their names are already in the ranks of the immortals. It is not necessary for them to call on others, for the century of work of the saints and sages in the body is fulfilled. And they shed the shell to climb to reality. A pill of elixir is made, and the spirit roams throughout the universe. 8. Overcoming the mind. If the mind is always calm and still, dark and silent, not seeing anything, indefinable, not inside or outside, without a trace of thought, this is the settled mind, and is not to be overcome. If the mind gets excited at objects, falling all over itself, looking for heads and tails, this is the disturbed mind, and should quickly be cut away. Do not indulge it, and let it go on, for it will harm spiritual qualities and cause a loss of essential life. Whatever you are doing, always strive to overcome perceptions, cognitions, and feelings, and you will have no afflictions. 9. Refining the nature. Putting your nature in order is like tuning a stringed instrument. If the string is too tight, it will snap, and if it is too loose, it will not respond. When you find a balance between tautness and slackness, the instrument can be tuned. It is also like making a sword. If there is too much hard metal, it will break, and if there is too much soft metal, it will bend. When hard and soft metals are in balance, then the sword can be cast. If you embody these two principles in refining your nature, it will naturally become sublime. 10. Combining the 5 energies. The 5 energies mass in the central chamber. The 3 bases gather on the peak. The blue dragon spouts red mist. The white tiger spews black smoke. Myriad spirits stand in rows. The 100 channels flow gently. The cinnabar sand shines brightly. The lead and mercury congeal clearly. For now the body is in the human world, but the spirit already roams in the heavens above. 11. Merging essence and life. Essence is spirit. Life is energy. If essence sees life, it is like a bird taking to the wind, sailing lightly upward. This saves work and is easy to accomplish. This is what the classic on yin convergence means when it says, the control of a bird is in energy. People who cultivate reality should not fail to study this, and they should not divulge it to practitioners of the low arts, lest spiritual luminosities come down to admonish them. Essence and life are the basis of practice. Be careful, be very careful to refine them. 12. The way of sages. To enter the way of sages, it is necessary to struggle with determination for years on end, to accumulate achievement and build up practice, to be highly illumined, wise, and understanding. Only thus can you enter the way of sages. Then, while your body lives in one room, your essence fills the universe. All the holy hosts of heaven silently protect you. The infinite immortal adepts invisibly surround you. Your name is among those registered in the Violet City, and your rank is among the stages of immortals. While your body temporarily lodges in the material world, your mind is already illumined beyond things. 13. Transcending the 3 realms. The realm of desire, the realm of form, and the formless realm. These are the 3 realms. When the mind forgets thoughts, you transcend the realm of desire. When the mind transcends objects, you transcend the realm of form. Do not cling to the view of emptiness, and you transcend the formless realm. When you detach from these 3 realms, your spirit lives in the homeland of the immortal sages. Your essence is in the realm of jade-like purity. 14. The method of developing the body. The spiritual body is formless. It is neither empty nor existent. It has no past or future. It is neither short nor long. Use it, and it penetrates everywhere. Store it, and it is imperceptible without a trace. If you attain this Tao, you can develop this. The more you develop it, the greater your achievements. Don't look back. Don't cling to the world, and you'll go or stay naturally. 15. Leaving the ordinary world. Leaving the ordinary world does not mean leaving it physically. It refers to a state of mind. The body is like a lotus root. The mind is like the lotus blossom. The root is in the mud, but the blossom is in the air. People who attain the Tao are physically in the ordinary world, but mentally in the realm of sages. People today who want to avoid death forever and leave the ordinary world are imbeciles who do not understand the principles of the Tao. First trigram we got was a broken, solid, broken line, which is Con, water. Con is deep water, flowing and formless. He is the complement of Li, dark where Li is bright, unconscious to her sharp lucidity, and represents a more fluid, intuitive, and emotional way of perceiving. This is danger, exposure and solitude, and the need to respond with courageous self-reliance when confronted by the haunting unknown. Water is the middle sun, situated in the north, associated with midwinter and midnight. And our top trigram for our primary hexagram, we will read it as broken, solid, solid. It'll transform this top line, our sixth line, will transform from an old yang to a young yin. So we will get a supporting hexagram where this top trigram will then be broken, solid, broken. So we will read the trigram broken, solid, solid first, which is Xun, wind or wood. Xun is both wind and living plants. Whatever penetrates, spreads and grows, shaping itself to the space available, or shaping that space to its own nature. She is responsive flexibility, sensitively improvising and adapting. Like the wind, she can always find a way through because she never creates any resistance, and so her influence is subtle and gradual but far-reaching. In the family of trigrams, Xun is the eldest daughter, gentle and submissive. She belongs to the southeast into late spring and early summer. Once our top line transforms to a young yin, that'll give us another Kan water trigram, which we read already. It'll look just the same as the bottom trigram. To start, we will read from I-ming's translation and commentary on the I Ching, called the Taoist I Ching. He was a Taoist adept who wrote that in 1796, and it's been translated by Thomas Cleary. Oh, we still need to figure out what hexagrams these are. Our primary hexagram will be '59, and our secondary or supporting hexagram will be 29. '59, dispersal. Confusion of yin and yang followed by reordering. '29, mastering pitfalls. One of the four timeless hexagrams, restoring the celestial within the mundane. To map out the answer to the general question we bring to the I Ching or oracle would be, how can I act in creative relation with the spirit or forces behind this moment of time? And your answer, the map of that answer will be The key to understanding a reading is to know your way around its main components, how they fit together, and the different roles they play. If your reading includes changing lines, then you will need to understand primary hexagram, relating hexagram, and changing lines together. The two hexagrams in conversation with one another map out your whole answer. The primary hexagram shows you quite directly what your answer involves. The relating hexagram generally describes what the answer is about for you. It sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, an influence, a direction of travel, an underlying issue that has to do with you and your relationship to it all. If the two hexagrams map out a landscape for you, then the changing line or lines stick a pin in that map to say you are here, or at least here are some places you may find yourself. They are the immediate answer to your question as the most specific, focused part of a reading. Their message always takes precedence over all other elements. Hexagram 59, Dispersal. In Dispersal there is development. The king comes to have a shrine. It is beneficial to cross great rivers. It is beneficial to be correct. Explanation. Dispersal means disorganization and disorder. In the body of the hexagram below is water, in which one yang is hidden between two yins, yang being trapped by yin. Above is wind, in which one yin enters under two yangs, yang being damaged by yin. Yin and yang do not interact. Essence and sense are separated, so it is called dispersal. This hexagram represents yin and yang being lost in confusion, then reordered. It follows on the previous hexagram, wind. Wind involves gradually entering true eternity. Because yin and yang are disordered, one progresses harmoniously to balance them. Once people's yin and yang are disordered, and essence and sense have shifted, the mind of Tao is obscured and the human mentality arises. The true sane energy is damaged and the false aberrant energy grows. This is like the one yang in the middle of water, trapped by yin energy. The primordial is concealed inside acquired conditioning. Once the primordial is concealed, its vast energy is inhibited, and yin energy takes over affairs, insufficient to do good, excessive in doing evil, inevitably leading to total loss of natural innocence. This is like the one yin of wind, insidiously rising under pure yang, subtly dispersing yang. This is why dispersal is so called. However, even after dispersal, sages have a way to resolve dispersal, which is able to reorder that which is dispersed. What is the way to resolve dispersal? It is none other than the path of progress through obedience. The only distinction is that if you go one way, obeying invading conditioning, you disperse yang, while if you go the other way, obeying the primordial energy, you foster yang. If you can reverse obedience from acquired conditioning back to the primordial, gradually progressing, without hurrying or lagging, stopping falsehood and preserving truthfulness, mastering yourself, and returning to appropriate order, that which is scattered can be assembled. That which is disorderly can be ordered, so that you can return to your original being. First dispersed, ending up not dispersed. There is thus paradoxically a way of development in dispersal. Those who develop this have no danger in their hearts, even when there is danger in events, are not imperiled inwardly, even when there is outward peril. They make use of the path of flexibility to travel the path of firmness, and use positive energy to transmute negative energy. This is like a king coming to have a shrine, using sincerity to summon the spirit, so the spirit can be summoned. It is also like wood following the nature of water, beneficial to cross great rivers, so that danger can be solved. When people's yin and yang are scattered, it is always because of using the human mentality and abandoning the mind of Tao. Every act, every step is on dangerous ground. But if you use the mind of Tao and dismiss the human mentality, you can seek the jewel of life in a tiger's lair, search out the pearl of illumination in a dragon's abyss, progressing harmoniously in danger and getting through danger. With proper control, according to events, whether agreeable or disagreeable, the mind of Tao is ever present. The human mentality passes away. The 5 elements aggregate, the 4 signs combined. What dispersal is there? However, in the path of resolving dispersal, there is a process, there is a course of work, there is intensification and relaxation, there is stopping at sufficiency. The slightest deviation and you go far astray. It is only beneficial if you are correct. Accomplishing the work correctly, hastening and relaxing methodically, advancing and withdrawing at the proper times, there will surely be development and benefit. Mastering pitfalls. This sets the primary hexagram in a broader context, a direction of travel, basically what the entire thing means for us. In mastering pitfalls, there is truthfulness. Thus the mind develops. There is excellence in practice. Explanation. Pitfalls means danger, as of a precipice or pitfall. Mastering pitfalls means getting through danger. As for the qualities of the hexagram, above is water, dangerous, and below is also water, dangerous, going from one danger to another, yet able to get through successfully in spite of danger. It is therefore called mastering pitfalls. This hexagram represents the presence of white within black, restoring yang within yin. It follows on the previous hexagram, nourishment. Nourishment means seeking fulfillment by emptiness, seeking the true yang that has fallen in a pit. In human beings, after heaven and earth interact, the one point of original yang runs to the palace of earth. Earth is filled in and becomes water, and heaven changes into fire. At this point, yin traps yang. The celestial root is obscured, and the mind gets involved with things. Though near to reality by nature, people become estranged from it by habit, descending lower and lower by daily repetition of habit. They fall into a state of ignorant obstinacy and do not know how to stop. However, if one practices evil, one becomes evil. If one practices good, one becomes good. It is simply a matter of how people habitually act. Practice of evil is a way into danger. Practice of good is a way out of danger. Getting out of danger requires that one believe it is dangerous. Belief rules the mind. If one can believe in the danger, then one will not be seduced by external things. Practicing good, one can then be good. As it is said, once you reform, it is the same as if you were originally thus. Therefore, in mastering pitfalls, there is truthfulness. Thus the mind develops. If there is truthfulness, then the mind develops. Without truthfulness, the mind does not develop. The mind with truthfulness is the mind of Tao. When the mind of Tao becomes manifest, the human mentality does not arise. Sane energy grows, aberrant energy recedes, and one can thus go in and out of yin and yang without being constrained by yin and yang. But Believing there is danger requires one to practice so as to get out of danger. Believing but not practicing is like not believing. Once one can believe and can practice, without hypocrisy or deception, practicing truly, one improves daily with daily practice, rising from lowliness to loftiness, gradually learning a state of exalted illumination, developing one's nature to the fullest extent and realizing one's purpose in life, returning to the fundamental, without difficulty. Therefore, the text says, there is excellence in practice. If one practices this, one can rise. Without practice, one does not rise. Knowing this is only valuable when one puts it into practice. Changing line 6, we will read in Dispersal. The general context behind this changing line is going to be reviewing the main action. Beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. Line 6 of Hexagram 59, dispersing. Dispersing the blood, going far away, there is no fault. Explanation. At the end of dispersal, strength and flexibility are blended. This is dispersing the blood, going far away. Dispersing the blood means the human mentality cannot injure the mind of Tao. Going far away means the mind of Tao can repulse the human mentality. When the mind of Tao is present and the human mentality goes, then the human mind also sublimates into the mind of Tao. The gold elixir crystallizes. The spiritual embryo takes on form. At first, yin and yang were fragmented, and there was fault. Finally, yin and yang are blended, and there is no fault. This is regaining integration when dispersal ends. So when the human mentality arises, the mind of Tao leaves. When the mind of Tao arises, the human mentality leaves. The human mentality is enough to disperse and fragment yin and yang, while the mind of Tao can unite yin and yang. Being able to unite what has been dispersed, returning to the origin, re-experiencing the fundamental being, is the culmination of the path of resolving dispersal. Further commentary by I-ming in the back here. So we'll read our primary hexagram again. 59, disintegration. Wind above, water below. Wind blows above water, unintegrated. Thus, ancient kings honored God and set up shrines. Disintegration means scattering and confusion. Above is wind, below is water. This is wind blowing above water. The nature of wind is to penetrate, but it cannot get into water. The nature of water is to flow downward, and it does not take in the wind. One another not joining is the image of disintegration. However, even though wind cannot enter water, it can go along with water as it blows. And even though water cannot take in wind, it can rise up along with the blowing of the wind. So there is also the image of resolving disintegration here. What ancient kings saw in this was that people receive their nature and life from heaven, and receive their bodies from their parents. Though there may be differences in social status, and differences in goodness and evil, insanity and aberration, nevertheless the source of everyone's endowments is the same. Therefore the ancient kings honored God and respected heaven, and set up shrines to pay respect to their ancestors, so as to cause everyone to know to honor God and respect their ancestors, not forgetting their roots. When the roots are not forgotten, the basis is established and the path develops. Correcting faults and pursuing goodness, manners and morals change, so that what had disintegrated can be reunited. Great indeed was the ancient king's way of resolving disintegration. If practitioners of the Tao can realize the intention of the ancient kings in resolving disintegration, respect heaven and not oppose it, requite their origins and not forget them, seek life within death, seek blessing within injury, then the four forms can be combined and the five elements can be assembled. This then is the original self, without any disintegration. Double water. Water above, water below. Water travels, double water. Thus do superior people consistently practice virtue and learn how to teach. Double water means water reaching from here to there. Above is water, below is water. This is water traveling from here to there, from there to here, traveling, flowing throughout. This is the image of double water. What superior people see in this is that the work of sages is twofold, involving both self-development and development of others. Self-development is the practice of virtue. Development of others is teaching. If virtue is practice is inconsistent, it is hard to enter the universal Tao. If teaching is not learned, students will not understand. Therefore, they work on virtuous practice day by day and month by month, becoming familiar with the old and aware of the new, increasing their efforts as time goes on, aiming for profound attainment of self-realization. Then, when it comes to teaching, they gradually develop guidance, make clear presentations and subtle indications, leading students further and further on until they penetrate thoroughly and are free from doubt. The practice of virtue is the study of body and mind, nature and life. It is a very refined and subtle science, in which the slightest deviation can produce an enormous loss. It can be accomplished only by constancy and consistency, thoroughly investigating its principles, fulfilling nature and arriving at the meaning of life. Teaching is a matter of receiving from forebears and educating successors. It is very urgent and necessary. If instruction is unclear, people will be misled as to the course they should pursue. One can develop others only if one learns how to teach, which involves searching out the profound and the recondite and clarifying that which is obscure. The work of teaching is based on the practice of virtue. Teaching means teaching the practice of virtue. Only if one is consistent and constant in the practice of virtue can one learn and practice teaching. If one cannot be consistent in the practice of virtue, then teaching will be baseless and unguided. When one is consistent in the practice of virtue and afterward learns how to teach, then what is consistent and constant in oneself is what is learned by others. This is like water traveling from here to there. It is all the same water, able to flow everywhere. Hexagram 59, Dispersing. Key questions. Where and how can you be less rigid? Where were the walls in this situation, and what can you see as they dissolve away? As energy and vitality is liberated from old boundaries, where will it go? Oracle. Dispersing, creating success. The king assumes his temple, fruitful to cross the great river. Constancy bears fruit. It is as if a great thaw brought the floods, and everything solid were swept away. All the walls, whether they divided, contained, or sheltered, are gone. The familiar landmarks have vanished down the river, and there's a clear view for miles over free-flowing waters. Perhaps this liberates the vital energy of the situation. Perhaps it is utterly disorientating. Definitions, dividing lines, agreements, bonds, established patterns of life and thought, all these can be dispersed, their solidity revealed as an illusion. All that holds things together now is the constancy of the flow itself. The king assumes his temple. He draws near and enters it, and takes on his most important role as the people's connection to spirits and ancestors. This can also be an inner process, centering your inner authority in your spiritual home, letting your decisions flow from that essential underlying source. With this reconnection, it becomes possible to cross the great river, which has already come to you. The dissolution of the old forms releases energy into new purpose and direction. Staying true to the deep connection through the temple, it's good to make the commitment and venture into the unknown. Image. Wind moves above the stream, dispersing. The ancient kings made offerings to the highest to establish the temples. Wind moving above the stream stirs and disperses it as water vapor, reminiscent of the fragrant steam that rises from the offerings and nourishes the spirits. This is the real substance of things, the inner flow of committed offering, the message and influence spreading outward. What is established with offerings will endure, while what is built of rock crumbles away. What are you building on? Sequence. Dispersing follows from Hexagram 58, opening. Rejoicing and hence scattering it, and so dispersing follows. Dispersing means spreading out. Active. Joyful communication and exchange naturally loosens things up and tends towards complete dispersing. Full visibility, with no boundaries, distinctions, or focus. Pair. Dispersing forms a pair with Hexagram 60, measuring. Dispersing means spreading out. Measuring means stopping. Dispersing has no limits that would stop its flow, yet eventually this liberated energy will flow on into new, more organic forms. Our supporting hexagram 29, repeating chasms. Key questions. What are you sure of in your heart when nothing else is sure? How can you flow on and through the dark? Oracle. Repeating chasms. There's truth and confidence. Holding your heart fast creates success. Movement brings honor. These are pits where you fall into the deep, dark waters, flowing on into the swirling, unknowable dark. The chasms repeat. There is no detour that would take you round them, so you must practice and learn the way of these deep places. First, there must be truth and confidence. Truth to the present moment, because this is simply how it is, and trust in your inner knowing, so you can be unreservedly present, with an unshakable grasp on the essential core. In these deep waters, there is nothing solid out there to hold on to. No external security, no way to orient yourself, and so you hold fast to your heart. This is a way to create success, staying in communication with creative source, even in the chasm. In movement, you find a different kind of security, one that depends on your heart, courage, and commitment. This is the truest test of your convictions, when you have no way of knowing where your leaps of faith might land. Sitting in the bottom of the chasm does not bring honor. Action does. Also, it's a way to be sure of yourself as an individual after everything else has fallen away. You act, and you become skilled in flowing through the steep-sided chasms. Image. Waters flow on and reach the end, repeating chasms. A noble one acts with constant character and teaches things by repeating. Many small tributaries flow together to create a broad river. Many small commitments flow together to create a powerful character. A noble one understands that just one extraordinary leap of faith is not enough. By acting consistently, he creates a continuity of principles that people can depend on when all else is in flux. Such repetition is a way of conveying a message to others, and sometimes also of convincing and changing yourself as you learn more skillful ways of thinking. This is like the water.
It carves out a course and creates its own momentum.
Sequence. Repeating chasms follows from Hexagram 28, great exceeding. Things cannot end with excess, and so the chasm follows. The chasm means falling. In Hexagram 28, the house's ridgepole was buckling. Now it has given way. You overburdened or simply outgrew the external framework that supported you, and now you are falling. Pair. Repeating chasms are paired and contrasted with Hexagram 30, clarity. Clarity is above, the chasm is below. These are natural opposites, above and below, fire and water, light and dark, waking and dreaming, yet together they create a single landscape. Chinese tradition says that after its journey across the sky, the sun is bathed in the river at the foot of the leaning mulberry tree. The sun itself needs to repeat the chasm. Broad context of our changing line 6 from Hexagram 59, our primary hexagram, is beyond the main action, reviewing experience, asking what comes next. From Hexagram 59, dispersing, changing line 6, dispersing blood, leave, go out and far away, not a mistake. It's possible to dissolve one boundary too many. Some things, like blood, are better kept on the inside. When all barriers are down and anything is thinkable, when blood, or vital energy, or extreme emotion starts to flow, you are very vulnerable. Don't overcommit yourself and become trapped here. Get to a safe distance. I'm going to read chapter 30 out of the Tao Te Ching. Whenever you advise a ruler in the way of Tao, counsel him not to use force to conquer the universe, for this would only cause resistance. Thorn bushes spring up wherever the army has passed. Lean years follow in the wake of a great war. Just do what needs to be done. Never take advantage of power. Achieve results, but never glory in them. Achieve results, but never boast. Achieve results, but never be proud. Achieve results because this is the natural way. Achieve results, but not through violence. Force is followed by loss of strength. This is not the way of Tao. That which goes against the Tao comes to an end, comes to an early end.